How's it going, guys? Welcome to Get Skill. My name's Jake, and this is a show where you can learn how to get world-class, rare, and valuable skills, and I'm going to show you the real-life practice that goes into that. Today, we are learning how to write like Tim Ferris. So I realized I turned my mic off for this entire section after I finished. What we're going to be doing is turning one of the chapters from Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek, into our own blog post, and we're going to be using the same technique that Ben Franklin used to learn how to write. It's called copywriting. We're going to be taking notes on his book, sentence by sentence, and then with that outline, construct our own version, where then we compare the differences, and with those lessons that we learn, turning that into our own final piece of writing. So the first step of this was going through and trying to establish what objectively he was doing in each sentence. For example, in this first one, he was writing some quotes at the beginning to give some philosophical theme to his writing and some credence to his thoughts by borrowing from Herbert Simon and Albert Einstein. Just by identifying this, we're saying, hey, this is actually a pretty good idea. We could open up our own blog post with our own quote that establishes some sort of philosophical theme. This next sentence says, I hope that you're sitting down right now. Take that sandwich out of your mouth so you don't choke. This does a great job of talking to your readers where they are right then and there. It's a physical location, and we can apply that to our own writing by asking that same question. Where are our readers going to be when they sit down to read this? And the second part of this is that he finishes it by saying, I'm going to tell you something that upsets a lot of people. It gets you emotive and curious. It says, oh, this upsets a lot of people. Am I going to be upset by it? And we can do the same thing by asking, how do we want our readers to feel after they read our work? The next two sentences just set the stage for the story and have a few quick jokes in it, which lightens the mood. But I really want to draw you to this third sentence right here. How obscene. I call myself an informed and responsible citizen. How do I stay up to date with current affairs? In this, Tim is saying that he never reads the newspaper. So what he's doing is he's giving us a mystery right here. And this is something that just hooks us in even more and says, I want this to be solved. What is the answer to this? Finding the angle in your story that gives your reader a mystery to solve, that takes their common objection and says, hey, you know what, that's wrong, and the real answer is something else, makes them want to read more. And it's worth your time to look for that angle. After you introduce the mystery, you're going to need to address that common sense objection that every mystery comes with. For Tim, he says, but what if someone has an emergency? He's not reading the newspaper, so that's a common objection. If an emergency happens, how are you going to be informed about that? He says it doesn't happen. You can be dismissive of the mystery. It doesn't matter how you respond to the objection, but bringing up that objection is critical. Every mystery is going to have some sort of common sense approach that people are going to try to take with it, and it's your job to show them that actually that's not a big deal, or that's not why it applies, or here's what's wrong with that. That's going to get them hooked and say, actually, I do need to learn more about this. Let me keep reading. Tim ends his introduction with this philosophical backing. He says that problems as a rule solve themselves or disappear if you remove yourself as an information bottleneck and empower others. Notice that he's being descriptive rather than prescriptive. He's saying that this is how problems behave. Problems as a rule do this. He's not saying you will solve problems if you do that. It gives the right distance from it. It's being informative, and it doesn't force you to do something. It doesn't put pressure on you to do something. Instead, it just invites you to do something if you want that result. You can do this yourself by saying, what is that philosophical rule that if you do X, you will get Y? You aren't saying you have to do X, but you're just describing it to them. So after going through this whole thing, I feel like I learned a ton of stuff that I couldn't learn in any other format, and I'm definitely going to be applying to my future writing. Now, if you want that sentence-by-sentence format that Tim Ferriss uses in the 4-Hour Workweek that we just went through so you can apply it to your own writing, then go ahead and click pause right now, or click the link in the top of the description. Either way, I hope that you enjoyed watching it. If you have any suggestions for how you can get even more out of this, leave a comment below. I'll read all of them and work on that for the next lesson. This has been Get Skill, learn how to write an introduction like Tim Ferriss. As always, thanks for getting better.